Well, welcome everyone. We're back. Took a week off for a little bit of travel on my part, but
Yeah, that's so strange that now we're going to talk about travel.
it's almost like we planned it,
Almost like we planned it.
which would be a first.
That would be totally a first.
So what is the topic today?
This is travel show number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The topic is travel.
Specifically, what do you want to talk about?
I was thinking like work versus travel. I mean, work versus travel. Work versus pleasure travel.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Because I've done some of both. And I find work travel so much more stressful.
Yes.
Like across the board.
Well, that's interesting because my trip was a little stressful.
Was it really? Okay.
It was. So I've got lots to share.
Well, we could compare. Compare and contrast. It could be, part of this could be that most of the time I'm traveling for work, it's not to like fun places. It's usually like to poorer, dangerous places. Or it could be dangerous places.
That adds a little bit of stress, I'm gonna guess.
So that could be. I had like a list of stuff that just popped into my head. Should I just go down the list of like stuff for work travel that just comes into my head when I have to start thinking about it?
Totally.
It's do I need permits? Do we have insurance, like travel insurance, medical insurance for emergency evacuations, that kind of stuff? How are we traveling? Where are we staying? What's the electricity situation? Because we got to charge batteries.
True.
Is there food and water? Is it safe? Does everybody know what to say when we go through customs?
Oh,
that's one thing you got to go through with the team. Because one time we were doing the little, pre-meeting, and I was like, all right, everybody knows what to say when you go through customs, right? And they see your cameras. And one person goes, we'll just say we're journalists. And I was like, no. You are definitely not journalists.
It's like used car salesman.
Yeah. Oh, level. Man. That gets you pulled out of line and talked to. Do we have to hire people when we get over there? Translators, drivers, whatever. Schedule, like what's our schedule, and is it realistic for where we're going? Because some places just are going to be a lot slower.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And one time I remember in Malawi, kind of out of courtesy, we had to interview a local politician, and it was half a day. Like we sat in one place and waited for like 3 hours. Oh. Until she showed up, and then did like a 20-minute courtesy interview.
Oh, got it.
And that was the day,
Yeah, right.
Driving there, doing that, and driving back. And that's most of the things that just pop in my head. Gear. Do we have the right gear? Do we have backups in case anything breaks?
Backups, totally.
Yeah, but that's what makes it stressful for me. All of that stuff.
I mean, right? Like, if that's plenty. Yeah. And for context, you're talking about film on location, remote destinations,
right?
Whether it's like documentary film, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Where you're going to stay for a certain number of days to capture a story.
Right. Yeah. And so on top of that, you got to try and remember that you have to do that.
Yeah, the actual
you have to actually do what they're paying you for.
Right. Oh yeah, the film. I totally
That's
forgot
right.
about
We have to come back with the film too.
That might be the hardest part.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've wanted to do trips like that as a photographer. I think that would be kind of interesting. Not easier, I think, but I feel like you would have maybe a little bit more time to try and figure out like the kind of story you wanted to tell with photographs, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it could. I mean, I guess if it's a paid assignment, it's all depending on the assignment. Um, I find with my wildlife photography, I was like, as a novice, complete novice, right?
Yeah.
I was walking around trying to find subjects like animals, insects, whatever it was, and realizing that walking around just is not, it doesn't, they don't just wait there for you to find them and then pose. Like
Right.
they run off as soon as they see you. So it's like, oh, okay, I have to park and sit there for a long time and wait for them to come to me. And then generally you're in a hide or some sort of camouflage or just something where you're invisible as much as possible.
Mhm.
If it's like landscape, which I haven't done much of that kind of photography either,
Yeah.
from some of the YouTube channels that I follow, some people that do amazing work, they, when they reach a new destination, they'll spend maybe the first day not even taking their camera out
Oh, wow.
or
Just kind of scouting or just walking around.
exactly
Yeah.
scouting. They'll use maybe their iPhone to look to see what a concept might look like.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're just getting a feel for the location, um, walking around different to scout and see, you know, what might make a great composition, which
Yeah.
I find really, like, as a novice, again, I would be out there and like, okay, let's get the camera set up immediately and look at that.
Exactly.
You know,
That's how I
I'd
do
probably
it.
get all the wrong shots.
Yeah. And then those guys probably spend a day like at the location
Oh
just
yeah.
waiting for the right moment, right?
Well, you know, if it's landscape, the sun,
Mhm.
because you're not bringing in artificial light, so the sun is so important. So you're either there, you know, the first hour of sunlight or the last hour, those
Right.
golden hour scenarios. Or if you're lucky, I guess you get overcast, you know, where it's soft enough.
Yeah. Oh,
Or I
those are
guess if
such
it's,
great days
yeah, 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 for film. Oh, yeah, I'm
for
sure.
film. Yeah.
So, yeah, it would definitely be different with photography. I think if I was going on a trip where I could go slow and I wasn't on assignment for anything,
Mhm.
then for me, I would just like walk around with my camera and, you know, having no agenda for me, I guess it would be fantastic. Like,
That would be so nice.
I've got nowhere to go. I've got nowhere to be. I'm just going to absorb this place.
I'm gonna try and do that a little bit on this upcoming road trip that we're going on. Like I'm gonna
Ooh.
have a little camera. I'm gonna have my tiny little Olympus
Oh,
Micro
nice.
Four
Yeah.
Thirds, which
Yeah.
with a little pancake, like 14 millimeter.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
that
perfect for,
it translates to a 28 full frame.
okay.
So it's a little not quite as wide as I would like,
Sure.
but not bad. But I want to
Not bad.
try and do like landscape
Mm.
kind of shots purposefully.
Right. Yeah.
That's the hard part.
That is the hard part. You know, for those, I think it's about doing it enough to where you can see what makes maybe a good composition. And then I think the
Yeah.
scouting, really,
Yeah.
it's like you have to walk around and search for the best shot, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but that sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah. It should be fun. I might take it on, I have a work trip coming up too. I might take it for that too. It might be interesting to try and do some kind of quick portraits
Ooh,
of the
yeah.
people that we talk to, that we get on film.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Though, yeah, maybe I'll do that. That's a good idea.
Write that down.
Every now and then I have a good idea. Oh man, what else about travel, man? How you just went on a road trip, right?
I did, yes. So I've not done an exorbitant amount of travel
Mm,
in my life, unfortunately. So I'm actually looking to change that to where I can get out a little bit more and prioritize it a little bit more. Working for yourself, it feels like it's really hard to break away sometimes. So
Yes. Yeah.
I just need to just work it in, you know what? Just figure it out.
Yep.
But it was a road trip, 6 days where I drove up to the farthest north was North Carolina and
Okay.
stopped in specific stops along the way. So Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then Georgia, and then back to Florida.
Okay.
And the plan turned out to it equated to being in a new hotel every night
Oh, wow. Okay.
for 6 days, and I think that's the part that was a little tougher for me because you've got to go through that process of just checking in and taking the bags, and then every morning you're grabbing all your bags and your gear, and you're loading up the car, and then you're driving to the next. But the one benefit, it spread out the driving time across all the days.
That's nice.
So that wasn't bad, definitely, because you didn't have like a 10-hour drive in one day.
Right.
So I don't know. I've got to try it both ways, I think. I think next time I will try something where I do, the longer drive up front and then spend more time not having to leave the
Okay.
location, just to
Yeah.
see how that goes. Am I going to be so wiped out from the drive I just want to sleep the whole next day? I don't know.
Maybe. I've done a few of those
Yeah.
really long drives,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and it's just kind of driving across the US just trying to get there
Oh
and not
yes.
really, having anywhere on to purposefully stop.
Got it.
And oh man, especially Texas.
Ooh,
Going
that's a
across Texas on the 10 is a haul.
really
It's-
that's a big state.
last time I made it from El Paso to Houston in one day,
Wow.
and that felt like a long day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
It was I think it was a weekday and it was getting late and I was like, I just want to get to the east side of Houston so I don't
Yeah.
have traffic in the morning.
Oh wow. Yes. The traffic.
But
Luckily, didn't hit a lot of traffic, but
oh wow,
yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Atlanta was the worst. That's like a
Yeah,
7-lane interstate highway, and it's still slow.
right.
So you're next to a big city when you've got that scenario going
Yep.
on. But
Oh
as
man.
far as like gear that I had,
Yeah.
so I recently got this Peak Design backpack, and it's basically meant for camera gear.
Hmm.
They call it the everyday backpack. The cool
Okay,
thing about it
nice.
is it has access on the side.
Okay. Yep.
So I don't, that's probably really dark, but you can get to your lenses without having to take it off. You can just swing it around your front on the front of you and open up the side bag, grab a lens, swap it out, and you're back in business. So
That's really
it,
nice.
it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Now, I don't know if you can see. No, I've got like enough lenses to where if I packed them all, it's a really heavy bag.
It wouldn't fit.
Well, they fit, but I mean, I don't have that many, but it's just the weight of the bag is so much
It's tough, yeah.
that it's just not comfortable. So for me, next time, if I had like maybe a max of 3 lenses,
Right.
that
Yep.
makes a lot of sense. Something that with a wide, so for landscapes, like 11 to
Hmm.
24 or something like that would be great on full frame. That's a pretty good
That's
lens.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then something with a zoom. So currently I'm waiting to get a 100 to 500 millimeter.
Okay.
So that would give me all the reach that I need. And then for me, I do something like a macro. like
Oh,
a
yeah.
100
Okay.
millimeter macro, so that I
Yeah.
can catch all the small stuff. And then it's like, okay, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess you could throw in like a 50 millimeter or something kind of in between, like
Right.
maybe a 50 prime.
Yeah.
But then that's four lenses. So
Yeah. I know. It's
now what do you
tough.
do? Yeah, it is. It
It's
is.
tough. For video, I tend to like full frame equivalent. If I can have something like a 24 to 70
Mm,
and then like a 70 to 200, I'm happy.
got it.
I always wish I had a slightly wider like
Yeah.
lens of that, but with zooms, it's so hard
Yes. Yeah.
to get like the perfect zoom for less
Right.
than like $5 or $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, they're out there. They just, you have to mortgage or sell a
It's
kidney or
just
whatever you have to do.
right. Just have to get rid of the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. You know, I just saw a trailer for an upcoming film about Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, no
I don't know if
way.
you were a fan of his or of his show.
I didn't see much of the show. I always liked the concept, and of course, he was in he was in pop culture and media, and so I knew of him
Yeah.
quite a bit.
He always had this kind of thing of like try and be a traveler and not a tourist.
Now, what was it? Well, in his mind, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I try and do that. I think it's try and when you go try and learn.
Okay.
Like try and see how the travel may be able, to impact you
Mm,
and spend time with locals, like talk to locals, go to places they might go to, be aware of local stuff. Like in France, know that when you walk into a store, you should say hi to the shopkeeper in
oh,
French. And if you
ah,
do that, you might be okay afterwards. And if you don't, you might have problems.
got it.
That kind of stuff. I think that kind of stuff, maybe just be aware, more aware of your surroundings instead of being like that bull in the china shop.
Yeah, where you're just so unaware of what's going on or what the local,
Yeah.
the way things operate.
Yeah, mine. I know more than once I've been like somewhere out of the country in a restaurant or somewhere, and you hear that loud American
Oh,
or that family in Paris trying to move. Like one time we were in Paris in a cafe, and their tables outside. You don't move them. You don't move the chairs. You don't move the tables.
got it.
And they were trying to put tables together and put chairs around, and
Oh
oh, it
no.
was just a big scene, and it was just it was so embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely heard other people talk about Americans and them traveling to other countries and being almost not very welcome just because of how uh disrespectful, I guess,
Yeah.
it seems
Yeah.
like they are. Like, I hear Japan is a great place to travel, but you have to understand how they operate a little bit more to I guess be fully accepted or welcome.
Right.
And their thing is respect. Like you can actually go to Japan and be completely safe.
Mhm.
Like the amount of crime, or if you have a bag and you leave it on the side of the road, I guess no one's going to take it
Right.
unless there's another, American,
Right.
perhaps
Of course.
somebody used to. Oh yeah, look.
Yeah.
But I guess things like that, they have a lot of respect for other people. But talk about noise, man. Some of the
Yeah.
hotels I was at, in the middle of the night, you had people yelling
Oh my goodness.
outside other people's rooms, and you're like, what exactly causes that to happen?
What is
I just
yeah.
I kept thinking, what is going through somebody's mind except that they want to stir up trouble, you know? It's like they
Right.
want people to walk out the door and be like, "What's going on?" I
It's
don't know.
yeah, it's there's that element in American society of
Yeah.
wanting confrontation
Yep.
for no reason.
Correct. Yes. And
I don't
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
yeah, I don't understand it. I've kind of seen some of that. I kind of seen it in Canadian culture a little bit actually.
Oh, really?
But it was for the like thing that I saw, it was more about like machismo.
Ah,
Like one
got
guy
it.
kind of called out the other guy a little bit, and then the other guy, it almost came to fisticuffs, but
Oh my.
not quite, but it
Yeah,
almost did.
exactly.
But
So yeah, I feel for other countries who are maybe tourist destinations,
yeah,
and because I'm sure if their culture is very different than the American culture, or
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be Americans, it could be any,
anybody,
culture where
yeah,
there's some
yeah.
sort of difference, then yeah, it's just going to be conflict, really.
I think with some people, when they just get uncomfortable, they get louder, maybe, and
Mm.
just more obnoxious. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it.
It
Just
could be.
outside of their comfort zone. This is my thing. What I always try and do if I'm going somewhere where they don't speak English, I try and learn how to say thank you,
Ah,
hello, and I'm sorry.
there you go.
Because
Top three.
that way at least I can introduce myself, I can thank them, and I know I'm going to do something that in that culture is wrong.
Right.
So if I can learn those three things, I'm usually pretty good. People are
Oh, you're
happy.
solid.
People, if you just make a small effort,
Yes,
just a
exactly.
little effort, people are so appreciative.
And it's probably because so many people don't make any, so they'll recognize someone who goes out of their way just a hair.
Yeah.
So that is really cool.
Yeah. I think just that and just, just listen more than you talk.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
can when you're out there.
Right.
I know a few times, like some of the places I've been, we've had to have cooks. And so you hire someone to cook for you, and usually they've cooked for other Americans, and so they try to make American stuff. So
Mm.
like you'll be in the middle of Africa somewhere and they'll be trying to make pizza for you
Oh, wow.
or pasta or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you just or talk to them for a little bit and say, "Hey, why don't tomorrow why don't you cook for us what you might cook at home?"
Oh, there
Or
you go.
something local, like it's
Yeah.
the attitude like changes so much if you just show a little interest.
Wow. Nice. Well, why don't we wrap up with you sharing one of your most crazy travel stories
Oh my
from
god.
your plethora of destination work that you've done?
Okay. I've got one that I probably shouldn't share because I kind of might be too much.
No one's listening.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I'll do 2 real quick maybe.
Okay.
Okay, so I was on one trip to Malawi, and there was another American with us. There were 5, I think 5 Americans who were going, and, one woman brought a big bag full of clothes and shoes to give away.
Okay.
And, so she talked to the person there, where we were staying and said, "Hey, I've got this. I wanna give it away." And he said, "Fantastic. I'll take care of it. We'll make sure it gets to people who need it." And she was like, "No, I want to give this away to people who need it." Like,
Oh,
very American, like, very, like, forceful. And he was like, "I think," the guy said it, the local said, "I think it's better if you just give it to me and I'll take care of it."
right.
She was so, like, insistent that finally he was like, "Fine. Okay, we'll do that." And so, I mean, it would be like going to the middle of Orlando and just, like, dropping $1,000 bills
Oh,
right in the middle of a crowd and seeing what would happen.
oh my.
And
Okay.
so initially she started giving stuff out in this village in Malawi and things were fine. And then people started hearing about it.
Oh no.
And, there were nice shoes and nice clothes, and it started
Mm.
getting disorderly. And then the people, the guy who initially said, "Let me take care of it," was like, "Okay, we need to leave now."
Oh,
And so we got in we got in the truck and we started pulling away. People started jumping in the back of the truck. We had to stop. There were almost fights breaking out, and I had to get way out of my comfort zone and get out of the truck and yell at some people.
Oh no.
To like get off of the truck.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was one of them.
Yes.
And then I'll tell one more about Haiti, maybe.
Okay.
Where I was pretty sure I was going to die.
Oh no.
We were going from this hospital I was at to an orphanage.
Okay.
And there was an American driving this little, I think it was like a Nissan pickup truck, probably like a 20-year-old pickup truck. There were at least a dozen people in the back of a small pickup truck. And
Wow.
I got wedged in there and I got pushed back and I was up against the tailgate, like towards the back. And the guy who was driving like a maniac.
Oh
like,
no.
Just a crazy person. And I kept, like, my weight kept being thrown against the tailgate.
Oh.
And there was a local Haitian guy in the front. He saw this was happening and he starts yelling at me, like, don't put any weight on the tailgate. Like, don't put any weight. It's gonna break. Like, it doesn't latch. Well, and I was like, I can't. I have to put weight on the tailgate. Yes. Like, I can't not put weight on the tailgate. So I was sure at any minute that was going to fall and I was going to be thrown out at, 60, 70 miles an hour on the streets of Port-au-Prince, and that was going to be it for me.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about culture difference.
So yeah, that's the last time I do that.
Amen to that. Well, I'm glad you survived.
Yeah, me too.
And lived to tell the story.
Thank you. Yeah.
And hopefully you've got more interesting stories after your trip coming up.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it'll be fun. So.
We're going to take a small pause while, Mike, you go on that trip. And when you're back, we'll have a second travel episode, where you can share what adventures you got into.
Yeah, travel episode number 2. Should be fun.
Well, that's it. That's it for this time, Mike. Any last thoughts?
Just, now that we're all getting vaccinated, we can travel again, and it's kind of nice to be able to do that again.
Hallelujah. Yeah. Let's go.
So here's to travel.
Here's to travel.
All right.
That's it for this episode of The Bacon Show. I'm Stephan.
Mike.
We'll see you next time. Maybe.